We can make that argument in just a minute.
situation.
So let's isolate it to you thinking it's junctional and then go from there.
Well, partially because I forgot about the PRI at the end of the PAC, but also, if you look after the QRS, there's kind of a slight dip afterwards. Like,
After the QRS? Okay.
like
It just looks like artifact,
right there.
because like there's artifact
Um,
in that second P.
Okay, well,
That
while
first
we're
being
being
second.
tight butthole about all the timing and stuff, I decided not to look at any of it as artifact.
Okay.
Because it's like so precise, and it made me think that there's a rhythm popping through that because there's another retrograde situation after the QRS was my thought process.
Okay.
So if it was are you saying that this bump is a retrograde P wave?
Yeah.
There's the same bump on the one before, actually.
The one before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I would say, I do see some artifact in this rhythm.
Well, never mind.
So I-
Sorry, Mark, it is artifact.
My butthole's still tight.
I think if you look across it, there's a little bit of artifact that's kind of moving through it. Maybe the person's shivering a little bit. Maybe they got some rails in their lungs. I don't know.
I also just thought like,
I do think this is a PJC rhythm.
Can we have?
you know when you look at it and you
Andrew,
think that vibe?
did you think it was PJC in the beginning and then
No,
change your mind? to
I 100%
PJC?
thought it was a PAC.
I thought it was PJC.
I don't think it's bad. I don't think that's bad analysis. But I do think it's a PJC, and I have my reasons for why I think that.
Corey, explain
And
yourself.
I was gonna say,
So I have a
I'm guessing you don't
question.
wanna explain yourself.
No, I want you to. I want you to maybe think of why that might be
Yeah.
the case.
So the one thing I'm thinking is,
I'm just not seeing it.
what's up with the P wave being inverted? Can it be inverted in a PAC?
I
Yeah.
thought so because
Could be.
it's at the base of the atrium going away, and that's still considered atrium, not junctional.
Yeah.
And so the only, to me, the only criteria that's different than a P wave, than an atrial rhythm, is the PRI would be different.
Yeah. Does anyone have an argument that an inverted P wave can only be in a PJC?
Only?
No?
No.
No.
Okay.
Well, it must be.
I have a question. PAC versus PJC. Is there something that we should look at that as being,
Worse for the patient?
yeah, like a precursor
No.
to a pathologic situation?
No.
Okay.
No, so this is really an academic discussion. The fact that it's a premature beat and it's coming from a supraventricular area
Right.
means the same thing. But it's more an academic discussion on why I think it is what it is and things I want you to think about.
Okay.
I think that I'm wanting to discuss, or I'm wanting you to consider an overarching concept that might permeate all of medicine right now off of this discussion, rather than it's really important for you to, based on the patient, knowing that this is a PJC versus a PAC.
Right, so if we were to have seen like a run of that, or that,
That might tell you something.
the R being slightly shifted forward, that would change
That would change.
theoretically our treatment.
Yeah, that would make you think some different things.
But a retrograde P wave versus not
Not a big
is
deal.
not necessarily going to.
Not in and of itself, no.
Got it.
So, you guys, I know that what I'm about to say is gonna be contradictory. Just deal with it. I know I'm frustrating Annalise nonstop. But here's the deal. You guys get set into certain criteria that means something, and that criteria does often mean something. However, you can't take it in a box. You can't, not every patient meets every criteria exactly as the criteria suggests. So you're hung up on one piece of criteria right now that is making you sway between one of these two. And that criteria is the PR interval for that premature beat. Does that make sense? Annalise, I wanted to mention one thing to you. You were talking about it, you thinking that it might be an escape beat.
Yeah.
What's the big difference between an escape beat and the premature beat?
Comes after the.
Before expected or after expected?
Yeah, when it comes. So if that came after it was expected to come, you're right, it would be an escape beat. But it came before it was expected. This QRS complex was supposed to come there. It came early, so it's premature. If it came there, it would be an escape. That's the difference between the two. It's just late or early. So you guys are marginally hung up on this. It has to be a 0.12 or less. It has to be less than 0.12 to be junctional. And yeah, the PR interval in a junctional beat is going to be less than normal. Okay, but look at this patient for just a second. What's the heart rate of this patient?
In the 70s.
Okay, so right smack in the middle of normal, first of all, right? Not only in the middle of normal, but even slightly higher than what a resting heart rate might be for this person. Do we agree?
Yes.
Okay, what's the PR interval normally on all of those? I don't want a 0.16 to 0.2, I want you to be more accurate. Measure that. Measure those PR intervals for just a minute. Do as good a job as you can and really measure those PR intervals. Give me a number.
0.18.
0.18. You all agree? 0.18? You see a 0.20?
I think it's 0.16.
I'm getting a
Measure
point-
again.
I'm getting a point two oh.
I got 0.2.
For once.
I'm getting 4.5.
Here,
Yeah, same
So
here.
you're all getting 4.5 to 5 boxes?
Yeah.
We agree?
Yeah.
slide it over so we can see the first one.
All right, we're starting right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5. 1, 2, 3, 4.5.
That's the PhD.
1, 2, 3, 4.5. 1, 2, 3, 4. That one's about 4.25. Do we agree? 0.18 would be a reasonable thing to say? Yes?
Yes.
Or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so now put that into context. What does that mean? What do we have? What is this patient dealing with?
It means
They're not dealing with anything. This could be perfectly normal for them, which is perfectly fine. But put those two things into context.
it means that the AV node is still
In control.
delaying the signal to the QR.
Yeah. It's doing its job. Give me more information. What's our normal PR interval range? 0.12 to 0.2. Do we agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
When in a normal person would we expect the PR interval to be closer to 0.12, and when would we expect it to be closer to 0.20? Just as a general statement in normal physiology.
Tacky versus Brady. Yeah.
Tacky would be what?
0.12.
And what?
Brady would be 0.20.
And now we have a patient that is right smack in the middle of normal. And what's their PR interval?
Closer to 2.
Which is long or short in comparison to normal?
Long.
So we've got a patient that's in the middle of normal that already has a fairly long PR interval. Do we agree?
Yeah.
Wouldn't we expect that to be closer to a, I don't know, 0.16 or maybe less, 0.14? Yeah?
Yes.
So now we have a premature junctional beat. Wouldn't we expect the PR interval in a premature junctional beat to be a little bit longer in somebody that already has a long PR interval normally?
It makes sense.
And look at that premature beat for a second.
So what's
One.
the cutoff?
1, 2,
Like-
3,
It's the same as the.
3.5.
Oh, so it's shorter.
It's shorter. It's on the short side of a PR interval
Shorter than the other ones.
for them.
Yeah.
So would I say you're wrong in saying this is a PAC? No, I wouldn't say you're wrong. But when you take it into context for the heart rate that this person has compared to the PR interval that they have under a normal basis, and I might expect the PJC to come through with a slightly larger than normal PR interval for itself, considering the fact that they have a slightly longer than normal PR interval for everything that they're doing. Which means the AV node is already delaying something a little bit more than what I might expect for any normal person. You see that?
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at it independently, when I'm looking at that premature beat all by itself, I think you've analyzed it correctly, probably a PAC. But when I take it into context with everything else that's going on, maybe it's PJC, and probably it's a PJC instead. Does that make sense when I'm looking at everything in context? Does that make sense what I did there? I wouldn't count you wrong if you said it as PAC, by the way.
Is that a P,
I wouldn't have counted you wrong if you said it as PJC.
T-wave?
That's what I said when I
But
first
I
looked
think
at
it's
it, but then
PJC, and I think it's
Kayla dropped
PJC
some
for
knowledge on me and said
reasons
it's
that I
not tall
discussed
enough.
when we talked about it in context,
And you have a reasonable explanation for it.
right?
Wait, so you're saying, Corey, that
They do
with,
look symmetrical.
the
though,
PJC,
right?
that
Yeah.
they don't have to meet every single criteria, it could just be one out of
Well, that
all
is-
that?
I'm about to give Annalise a heart attack. I'm not saying that it doesn't have to meet all the criteria. I'm saying that the criteria that we have set for all the different things we do are as if we have a single person that is perfectly normal. But that's not the way humans are. Humans have variability. So when I take into consideration that humans have variability, and I'm looking at this human with everything that's going along with it, I might suggest that their variability is a little bit off from normal, and their PJC might have a slightly longer than normal PR interval compared to other PJCs.
So you've kind of taken the science out of it and made it more subjective. Then.
Well, we're humans,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we fit within science and physics to a certain degree, but there's variability, right? And that variability makes a difference, right? Now, am I concerned? Annalise asked a really good question related to, well, does it really matter in relation to this patient and my treatment? No. But if that premature beat instigated a series of premature beats that became a tachycardia, maybe it does make a difference, because now why do we have a junctional tachycardia going on? Right? Do we have a problem with the SA node? Do we have a problem with all of the atria? All of a sudden that becomes something that's a little bit more important for us to kind of figure out. The fact that it's a single beat, no big deal. If it became a rhythm, I might need to spend a little bit of time actually thinking about that. Does that make sense?
Good job, Andrew.
I have another question for you about
Yeah.
the T waves.
Okay.
So, the T waves look symmetrical, like the right and left side are the same, like a peak T wave. They're not as high as I would expect a peak T wave, but yeah.
What do you,
Yeah, I have a question about that. Does your electrolyte imbalance can happen on a gradient? So, does your peak T wave changes happen on the gradient? Like, could this person be at a slight electrolyte imbalance? And we can tell because their P waves do look a little symmetrical, or is it like an all or nothing?
It is not all or nothing. I don't think these are peaked, but they might be symmetrical.
Let's find out.
Draw a line down the middle. And yes, the more imbalanced their electrolytes are, the more symmetrical and peaked they will become, specifically the potassium. Yeah.
And can you ever have a biphasic T wave?
Yes.
I think that one's
Pretty
over to the left a little
Yes,
bit
you
more,
can have
Yeah.
biphasic T
Andrew, and that makes
based
it
on the camera angle that you're
symmetrical.
looking at,
Your blue line.
biphasic.
I'm in leads where they're only everything upright.
Yes, and that would signify there's a problem, electrolyte imbalance of some sort too. Yes. In a lead where you're not supposed to have a biphasic T wave, yes.
And then you look at the boxes.
So if they-
Okay, well, you have
Second
one,
three of us.
two boxes on one side and only one half boxes in the middle. And that one, they're still not really symmetrical.
Okay, fun times.
Moving on.
Next one.
what's the next one?
The next one is for you to sit down.
Good job, Andrew. You look pumped today, like you got a PR on a deadlift or something.
Hey,
You got a PR, dude? Heck yeah, dude.
Did he PR? How much?
Hey Maddie,
Yeah.
talk to us about
110.
number 23, just for fun.
Ooh.